We're going to spend the next 3 days in John's Gospel, chapter 5. And thinking back to Lent 4, we saw how the Sunday commands us not only to have faith, but to live faithfully and to go on living faithfully. And John provides for us 7 signs, actually perhaps 8, but the 7 signs that are spoken of are water into wine, then of course the one we looked at yesterday, the healing of the nobleman's son. Now we turn and we have the healing at the pool of Bethesda. There will be the feeding of the 5,000, Jesus walking on water, Jesus healing a man born blind, all leading us up to that great moment of the declaration of the resurrection with his friend, Lazarus. If there is an 8th, what's the sign? Why, of course, it is the cross. So today, let's begin into the Gospel of John in this 3rd sign, and we're looking at the first 18 verses. Jesus has now left Cana, he's up in Jerusalem, and we approach a situation that is so foreign for most of us to grasp. But he is by a sheep gate, a pool in Hebrew called Bethesda, and there around lay multitudes of invalids, blind, lame and paralysed. There's going to be one man there in particular, 38 years of age. And they gathered there because from time to time this pool had healing properties. Our God can certainly infuse material stuff with his power. This isn't magic. It's miraculous. And sometimes our Western mindset gets in the way of faith. And all of these are picked by John in verse 3 because, go back to Isaiah, the healing of these particular categories would indicate that the Messiah was present. Jesus looks at this man just lying there for 38 years and he asks an incredible question which we must ask ourselves. Do you want to be healed? Has the Spirit of God really worked in our life to this point where we say, above everything else, ultimately my desire is for Jesus, to be like Jesus, to see Jesus? And the man says, he doesn't answer the question, he says, sir, I can't get into the water. Somebody beats me to it in that moment of healing. And Jesus, just with a word, says, rise, take your pallet, and walked. And guess what? The man did. The word of God healed. Now, behind all of this, you'd think Jesus would have not done this because the day on which he did it was the Sabbath. And so much to unpack there. The Sabbath was an identity for the people of God, an identity where God rested. But evidently, Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. Evidently, doing good on the Sabbath is more important than the status quo. And the man heads off and is found in the temple. And the people of the temple know that this man's been healed. And they are angry. In fact, they will set out to kill Jesus because they recognize, look at verse 18, that he's calling in this passage God his Father, making himself equal with God, which he was. Notice too, this sickness of 38 years was because sin had been committed not forgiven. Leave your sin and follow Jesus. What's the question from today? Who is Jesus? Who is he really to you and to me?